Hey everyone, welcome to Next Paradigm. I'm Zara, and this is where we break down health science into real world tools. And with me, as always, is Alex from Odin Labs.
Hey, what's up? Today we're talking about something your doctor probably never brings up: nitric oxide. Sounds boring, right? Well, it's not. This tiny molecule controls your energy, blood flow, memory, and even your sex life.
Yep, this episode is going to change how you think about blood pressure, aging, and why mouthwash might be wrecking your health. All right, Alex, what the heck is nitric oxide?
Okay, so nitric oxide, or NO, is a tiny gas molecule in that your body makes, but don't let the size kind of mislead you. It's huge when it comes to your health. It relaxes your vessels, opens them up so blood can flow, oxygen gets delivered, and your cells can actually do their job.
Sounds like a behind the scenes MVP.
Totally. Think of it like your body's internal traffic cop. It tells your blood where to go, when to slow down, when to speed up. Without it, you basically get traffic jams all over the place. That's when you start feeling cold hands and cold feet, low energy, brain fog, and yeah, problems in the bedroom as well.
So basically, it's the circulation switch.
Exactly. But here's the thing: your body gets worse at making it over time. That's kind of the bad part. By the time you hit your 40s, you've lost about 50% of your natural nitric oxide production. That's huge.
Why does that happen? Is it just aging?
Well, partly, but it's also lifestyle. Your body needs raw materials and certain enzymes to make NO. If those enzymes aren't working well, maybe from poor diet, inflammation, genetics maybe, the system starts to shut down. And we'll talk all like a little bit more about that later, but that's kind of the basics.
Okay, so nitric oxide keeps things moving, and without it, we slow down mentally and physically.
Exactly. Basically, blood can't flow, oxygen can't deliver, your mitochondria can't make energy. It's like dimming the lights in every room in your body.
That's a crazy image. So, no nitric oxide, no power.
Right. And that's why nitric oxide is tied to almost every system: your brain, your heart, your muscles, your immune system. When nitric oxide is low, things break down. Erectile dysfunction, that's not just a performance issue. That's your body screaming, hey, we got blood flow problems.
So, we're not just talking about blood pressure here.
No, it's much bigger. This molecule is upstream of health, not downstream.
Got it. Let's go ahead and plant a flag here. Nitric oxide isn't optional. So, how do you know if your nitric oxide is low?
Honestly, most people are walking around with low nitric oxide and have no idea. Let me break it down a little bit here. So, if you got high blood pressure that doesn't respond to meds, you might have a nitric oxide issue. Feel completely gassed after 15-minute walk? It could be nitric oxide. Poor sleep, cold hands and feet, brain fog, low libido, they're all signs of low nitric oxide.
So, stuff that people chalk up to getting older.
Exactly. But just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. One that really gets missed is slow wound healing, right? So it's a weird thing that people don't think about. But if you cut yourself and it takes weeks to close, that's a nitric oxide red flag. It's essential for repair.
This almost sounds like a checklist for modern life.
You're not wrong. And here's a kicker: nitric oxide is upstream of all these systems. It's not just another vitamin or molecule. When it drops, your body starts firing blanks. That's why you can be doing everything right and still feel off.
So, if you're tired, cold, foggy, and not recovering well, it might not be burnout. It might be nitric oxide.
100%.
So, what's draining people's nitric oxide?
Well, there are few big offenders, so to say. Okay, so first up, simple things like mouthwash. especially the ones that brag about killing 99.9 of bacteria. The issue is that, you need some of those bacteria. They help convert nitrates from vegetables into nitric oxide.
So that minty burn after rinsing is doing more harm than good?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Our habits are like full-time sabotage operation. Something as simple as mouthwash can raise your blood pressure. One guy's BP jumped 26 points in a week just from killing his good mouth bacteria. It disrupts oral microbiome. And that's something nobody really talks about, and most certainly your dentist doesn't talk about. Without these bacteria, you can't make nitric oxide from food.
That's wild. What else is hurting our NO levels?
Well, sugar, right? So it gums up enzyme that makes nitric oxide, and antacids, they lower stomach acid, which you need to activate nitrate pathway. Mouth breathing dries out your mouth and disrupt nitric oxide made in the sinuses. And then there are chronic stress and poor sleep. They basically tank your body's ability to make and use nitric oxide.
So basically, modern life is a nitric oxide killer.
Unfortunately, yeah.
All right, let's talk about how to fix it. Say someone's listening and thinking, okay, I've probably got low nitric oxide. Where do they even start?
Well, you can start with the basics. And I mean like super basic. This stuff you can do today, no lab test, no supplements. It's just habits, right? So let's get rid of the antiseptic mouthwash. I know that your dentist told you that it's essential, but the truth is that it's not, to get rid of the one that says kills 99.9 of germs. That's basically the code for killing bacteria you really need. And, you need that because that's the bacteria that's the middleman between leafy greens and your nitric oxide. Okay. So then switch to a natural toothpaste, something fluoride free and without harsh chemicals. You don't want to wreck microbiome every time you brush your teeth, right? So all the things that dentists tell you pretty much, you need to do something different. And I apologize to all dentists in advance. You guys do a great job, but the truth is that unfortunately advice, it's not very good for microbiome of our mouth. So scraping your tongue is a good idea, morning and night. That's, the white gunk on your tongue. It's biofilm and it blocks nitric oxide production. You can you can get one of those metal scrapers on Amazon and basically use that to scrape your tongue. Breathe through your nose, not your mouth, right? Especially at night. And if you wake up with a dry mouth or snore, you're likely losing nitric oxide all night long.
So, brushing and breathing, we're already tackling daily stuff people do, just doing it a little better.
Exactly. It just small changes really. And now let's move to food, right? Because that's how your body makes nitric oxide. So you have to feed it kind of the raw materials that make nitric oxide. So okay, so things like beets, arugula, spinach, celery, lettuce, all vegetables are loaded with natural nitrates. When you chew them, your mouth bacteria go to work and they kickstart the nitric oxide cycle.
What about how they're prepared? Does that matter?
Absolutely. So, big time important thing, raw is better than cooked for nitric content. But here's the kicker though. You need to keep in mind that antioxidants is a thing too. So it's kind of like one of those situations, it's give and take, right? So, for example, if you're eating a lot of spinach, for example, has a lot of oxalates, those are anti nutrients that can really hurt you. You don't need to have a lot of them. So maybe have a little bit of less on that or cook spinach better. But beets, maybe, you can have marinated beets or pickled beets, right? And steaming them is better than basically kind of like doing other things, right?
Okay, what else? What's beyond food?
Okay, another simple thing, sunlight. This is kind of, sleeper hit. When sunlight hits your skin, especially UVA and infrared, it stimulates nitric oxide release from your blood vessels. Just 20 to 30 minutes per day, morning or late afternoon is ideal for this. No sunscreen, no glass between you and the sun. It will do the trick.
So if I'm getting 20 minutes of sun while chewing on arugula and breathing through my nose, I'm winning?
You're winning. Bonus points if you're barefoot on the grass.
Love it. All of this is free, accessible, and honestly kind of soothing.
Okay, so quick pause before we go any deeper. If you've been following us for a while, you probably heard of us about this new initiative that we are doing. So if you want a system, basically not just couple of tips, a way to apply all of this stuff in your real life and actually see results.
That's why we created the Next Paradigm VIP community. It's a hands on, no fluff platform for people who want to take control of their health with support, structure, and zero guesswork.
You'll get access to all our protocols, protocols for sleep, nitric oxide, gut health, all of it, plus monthly one-on-one coaching calls, supplement stacks, testing guides, and clear plan mapped out for your body and your goals.
If you're tired of trying to Google your way to better health and you want a clear, science backed path, we'd love to work with you.
Just head to odinhealthlab.com. That's ODIN healthlab.com and book your free discovery call. You do not have to figure all of this out on your own.
All right, let's get back into it. Thanks for sticking with us, everyone.
Well, that's the point. You don't need a lab test prescription. Your body wants to make nitric oxide, and you just have to stop sabotaging it as much as we do and give it the right inputs.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense. It's really about the small daily habits. You want better blood flow? Start by breathing through your nose and sitting in the sun. Seriously. Let's dive into supplements. So let's say someone's doing all the foundational stuff, ditched the mouthwash, eating their greens, getting sunlight. What's next if they want to take it to the next level?
Okay, well, that's where supplements come in. And this is where people tend to either get overwhelmed or completely misled. But there are few that are legit. And, like my top one is something that's called Neo 40.
That's the lozenge, right?
Yeah, correct. So Neo 40 is a chewable tablet that releases nitric oxide directly into your system, bypassing all the broken pathways. So if your body isn't making enough nitric oxide, maybe because of age, chronic stress, enzyme dysfunction, this kind of gives you a shortcut, right? It's especially good for people over 40 when you're already dealing with blood pressure issues, fatigue, or erectile dysfunction.
So it's not relying on your body to build the molecule, it gives it to you directly.
You got it. Yeah, it's like jumping the queue. And the cool thing is it's been tested in clinical trials, so it's not just a kind of like a flashy label or a brand. It's been shown to improve endothelial function, lower blood pressure, and even helps with circulation in the brain.
What about beet powder? People are into beet juice now, right?
Yeah, beet powder is great if it's the right kind. Some brands are just pink sugar dust. You want one with high in dietary nitrates that has been third-party tested. Look for ones that list nitrate content on the label. That's what you kind of need to feed nitric oxide cycle.
So don't just grab the cheapest one off the shelf.
Right. And avoid ones that taste like candy. Usually that means they've added unnecessary sweeteners that can actually block nitric oxide pathways.
Okay, what else is worth adding to the stack?
Well, if you're working out or want to improve blood flow to the muscles, L-citrulline is a solid option. It turns into arginine, which your body uses to make nitric oxide. And it doesn't get broken down in your gut the way arginine does. You'll often see it in pre-workout blends.
Nice. So it's more for performance and endurance.
Exactly. And it pairs well with beet powder, take it about 30 to 60 minutes before workout.
You also mentioned red light therapy earlier. Where does that fit in?
Well, red and near infrared light, like what you get from kind of like a red light panels or infrared saunas, actually help your cells release stored nitric oxide. It's one of the reasons people feel energized after a red light session. You can use it on your chest, legs, even your forehead for brain fog.
So supplements aren't just pills, light counts too.
Absolutely. Anything helps your body create or release nitric oxide is part of the supplement conversation. All right, let's get super practical now. I want to walk through a few real world situations where nitric oxide support can be a game changer for someone. What to actually do about it.
Let's go. These are the examples people love. Simple, actionable stuff they can try today.
Absolutely. Okay, so first up, this is the big one. It's very popular, unfortunately, erectile dysfunction. This is usually the first major flag that something is wrong with blood flow. Don't just reach for a blue pill, you kind of need to fix the system. So I recommend Neo 40, that's a supplement that I mentioned before, daily, red light therapy to the pelvic area. And yeah, you can shine it over your boxers. And mouth taping at night actually to support nasal breathing. Sounds weird, but it really does work. It's often the first warning sign of cardiovascular dysfunction.
That's so wild. Most people treat the symptom without ever fixing the root issue.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next one, and this one is pretty big as well, high blood pressure, right? Or hypertension. If you've been told you have essential hypertension, that means that your doctor doesn't know the cause, right? So often it's low nitric oxide. Start by cutting out mouthwash, right? Which could be spiking your blood pressure. Drink beet juice daily, ideally, 70 to 100 milliliters, and walk outside for 20 minutes a day, which basically kind of signals your body to stimulate nitric oxide, your endothelium.
Literally walk it off and ditch the mouthwash.
Exactly. And, we can also talk about something that, like it's a little bit more recent, the post COVID fatigue, right? Or those long COVID symptoms. A lot of people are dragging for months after getting sick. Low energy, poor focus, chest tightness, cough, right? Virus damages your endothelium, where nitric oxide is made essentially. So to rebuild it, you can use the tips that we mentioned before, but also things like infrared sauna or red light therapy, nasal breathing drills, and, like alternate nostril breathing or humming, nitrate rich foods and beet powder daily, right? So the very same things, they will work for this as well.
So we're talking cellular recovery, not just treating the fatigue.
Exactly. Now, here is one that affects a huge percentage of people, but it really isn't talked about enough, right? So, type 2 diabetes. So, diabetics often have poor wound healing, low circulation, and increased risk of stroke. Sugar destroys nitric oxide production. So, the strategy here is reduce the sugar, cut it, load up on greens, add beet supplements or Neo 40, and include magnesium and vitamin C, which help nitric oxide pathway function properly.
That's something people can work into their day pretty easily.
Exactly. And finally, there's another one, brain fog or early dementia. Nitric oxide is vital for blood flow to your brain. Without it, you get reduced oxygen delivery and poor mitochondrial output. What helps? Nasal humming. Literally humming through your nose, which releases nitric oxide in your sinuses. And, the same thing we talked about before, red light therapy to the forehead, and eat those nitrate rich foods daily.
That's the most biohacker thing I've heard all week, and I'm into it.
Honestly, it sounds fringe, but it's backed by solid physiology. You're creating local vasodilation in your brain. More blood, more oxygen, more clarity.
And what I love is none of this involves expensive equipment or fancy protocols.
Right. It's back to basics. You don't need a fancy clinic. You need your nose, your sun, and your spinach.
All right, Alec, let's bring it all together. For someone listening who's thinking, okay, I'm in. I want better blood flow, energy, brain power. Where do I start? What's the plan?
Love it. Okay, so here's the good news. You don't need a PhD or personal trainer or $500 worth of supplements to get started. All you need is a routine, one that works with your specific biology. So I'm going to give you like an 8-step nitric oxide starter kit. Okay. So let's replace the antiseptic mouthwash with one that doesn't kill your oral microbiome. You need these bacteria to make nitric oxide, so let's keep them healthy. Let's also replace your toothpaste, fluoride free. As fluoride, as we mentioned before, it messes with enzymes and isn't doing your nitric oxide any favors, right? So something more gentle, more natural, something that maybe rebuilds your enamel, right? So scrape your tongue every morning. It takes 10 seconds and it helps get rid of biofilm that blocks nitric oxide production. You can use metal tongue scraper way better than toothbrush. Okay, breathe through your nose, right? So obviously all day, but especially at night, right? So if you're having issues with that, you can try taping your mouth, right? So mouth taping became popular recently as a biohack, but there is some science basically backing this, right? So it helps with nitric oxide production in your nose while you eat nitrate rich veggies, right? So no, things like anything green, like arugula, spinach, beets, obviously. Even a handful of these every day can get your nitric oxide cycle raw. Rotate them, eat them raw, lightly cooked, add them to smoothies, things like that, right? I actually really like another hack, microgreens, right? So same arugula, but in a microgreen form. You can eat it raw. It has less anti-nutrients, and it will give you the same benefit because all the nutrition is concentrated because it's a small. And get at least 20 minutes of sunlight, morning or early afternoon. No sunglasses, no glass windows, just skin, sun, and nitric oxide flowing through your blood vessels. Try supplement if you are a little bit older, over 40. Again, we talked about that supplement Neo 40, but even the quality beetroot powder is great for supporting nitric oxide levels, especially if you've had fatigue, you had symptoms like fatigue, high blood pressure, or sluggish recovery after disease. And track your progress, right? So watch how your energy changes, track your blood pressure if you can, journal your mood, memory, or even workout stamina, right? All these little wins will add up fast.
That is gold. And honestly, none of this sounds overwhelming. It's super doable.
It's all about building a rhythm, really. You don't need to do it all perfectly, on day one. Start with a couple of things, then 3, add the rest over the next week. You know, within 7 to 10 days, you likely feel the difference, and it was super easy to do.
And I love that it's all free or low cost. This is the kind of plan you can hand to your parents, your friends, your neighbors, and they can actually do it.
Exactly. That's the goal, really. Accessible tools that actually work. Nitric oxide isn't just for like hardcore biohackers, right? Really, like everybody who has a body should be optimizing their nitric oxide.
All right, Alex, big picture, final thoughts. Why does nitric oxide matter this much?
Well, because if it's not optimized, it's our ignition switch, right? Without it, your whole body is running in low power mode. Your brain, your heart, your energy systems, they all need nitric oxide to function properly. Fix this one thing, and suddenly your energy is back, your blood pressure stabilizes, your workouts feel easier, your sleep gets deeper, and yeah, even your sex drive gets a boost.
So much of what people think is just aging or normal is actually fixable.
Absolutely. I mean, aging is part of life, but it doesn't mean that we can't prolong it as long as possible or even reverse it in some cases, right? Your body doesn't break down overnight, it sends signals. Low nitric oxide is one of the first dominoes that falls. Fix that, and many other things start falling into place naturally.
And most people aren't even 10 steps away from age. They're maybe just two tweaks away, like switching their toothpaste or breathing through their nose.
Exactly. And you don't need to reinvent your whole life. You just need to work with your biology, not against it, fix nitric oxide, and you unlock the next paradigm, really.
Thanks for tuning in to Next Paradigm by Odin Labs. If this episode lit something up in you, do us a favor, share it with a friend. And remember, breathe through your nose, eat your beets, and go to some sun.
We'll be back next week with more tools to help you take charge of your health from the inside out.
And if you're ready to go deeper than just this episode, if you want real support applying all of this, come join us inside the Next Paradigm VIP community.
You'll get access to monthly coaching calls, our custom sleep and circadian rhythm protocols, nitric oxide supplement stacks, testing guides, and private group to keep you accountable. It's everything we've built to help you optimize your health, one system at a time.
Just head to odinhealthlab.com. That's ODIN healthlab.com and book a free discovery call. We'd love to help you personalize your path forward.
All right. See you next time, guys.